and was only suitable for people aged 18 or over, will almost certainly have an adult theme, and might well contain sex or violence, which are quite graphic. It may also contain explicit language, including sexual swear words. Thanks for listening.
But here's what his revelation comes to him. He's kind of got all this stuff, like touching, wiping, lowering of the animals.
Not wiping, whipping.
Yeah. Also not touching.
I am dyslexic. I hope I'm not having like a stroke.
Do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
And an atheist almost always becomes supporters of eugenics and abortion.
A swine is hungry for nuts. Jesus hates them too.
Satan is real.
Being a Satanist is an open declaration of revolt against counterproductive received wisdom and mindless rogue tradition.
Decapitate her head off.
We're done. You're done.
Obama!
Welcome to the Godless Rebelution. Today is Monday, November 21st, and we are recording live in the studio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've been watching some crazy fucking shit.
Yeah.
So I'm Dan Ellis. In studio we have...
I'm Ryan Duffy.
And we are once again joined by the amazing, fantastic, wonderful Mr.
It's Geoff Linville.
Yay! I always love having you on the show, man. You're a great guest.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. I
Anytime.
appreciate it. Tonight we have some things lined up for you. We've got a lot of alt-right shit because that's the world we live in now.
Yeah.
If you're tired of hearing about politics, suck it up, Buttercup. You're in for a fucking ride for the next 4 years at least, or until Donald Trump is impeached, at which time it'll be Mike Pence taking over, and then you're in for a different ride, okay?
But we hope to be a reprieve from politics sometimes, because we agreed we can't talk about politics all the time. But right now it's too fucking heavy.
Yeah,
I think-
but life is politics, man.
And I also think with the alt-right, we have such a strong relationship with them and them with us now that we can go ahead and just shorten their name to the right. I think that's probably pretty safe now.
The Reich, the alt-Reich?
Yeah, well, either
Reich.
that or just drop the alt.
Yeah. Would this be the Fourth Reich?
Probably.
It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Donald
3.5 because of, modern nomenclature.
Yes. The third and a half Reich.
Version 3.5.
So So I made reference to, if you're tired of politics, then suck it up, because I posted our episode where we interviewed Mr. Mike Norton, a.k.a. New Name Noah, to a few different LDS Facebook groups. And I just saw a comment from somebody who's like, oh, they're still talking politics and I'm 30 minutes in, losing interest fast. Okay, well... You're probably somebody who either didn't vote or doesn't give a shit.
I was gonna say.
And in that case, then go fuck
Or
yourself.
Won't like our podcast anyways.
And I hope you enjoy the interview with Mike Norton. I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
He's a very entertaining guest to have on the show. We'd definitely like to have him on the show in the future. I think we could have talked with him for a lot longer. Well, and
Yeah.
I told you both that before we started recording that I cut out like large sections of the show because we just went a little bit long.
And I thought I was keeping track of the time.
What did you keep track of it just now?
I looked down here and
Uh-huh.
we started recording when we were 20 minutes into this track.
Okay.
So at 2 hours and 10 minutes, I'll kind of start waving my arm in the air like a crazy banshee being like,
Gotta wrap it up,
we
guys.
gotta wrap this shit up.
Get it done.
And then we'll go for another hour.
Yeah, I edited a bunch out. We're in the process of making some changes on the show. Gradual things that we're doing. You regular listeners may have noticed that I am no longer including songs at the end of the show because we're cross-posting to YouTube now, and YouTube,
Has a
They
gives
get
us a
mad.
little thing saying, content warning on this, that you have copyrighted
Yeah.
material and or that it is blocked in some countries because some of the record labels don't have agreements with other countries to broadcast there.
But depending on the record label, they won't let you, it'll stay up, but it'll be completely muted.
Yeah, that's no fun for anybody.
No. It's like there's a song that plays for 2 minutes of the 2 hour or 3 hour podcast.
Yeah.
And you mute the whole thing because of that.
Well, and I toyed with the idea of putting out one version on Podbean for people to download through their podcast aggregator, and then posting another one with a song stripped out on YouTube. And I'm like, well, then that's just more work for me. So I'm not going to do that.
And we never know when the day is going to come where they'll start coming after podcasts for copyrighted music.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we just decided to forego that whole headache altogether. I apologize, Dave. I know that you really like a lot of the songs that I was throwing in at the end. I did too. That's why I put them in there.
Can we sing them at least?
Probably.
I don't know. There's actually things against that too.
Because they do the little, like when they, like on YouTube, they do this scan that just scans through your audio and sees if there's
You'd actually have to physically
clips
listen to
from
it
music,
to see if
yeah.
we sang it.
Yeah.
Because even for like a movie production, you can't get someone else to sing the song for you.
That's right.
You still have to buy the rights to it.
That's weird to me.
You have to. There's different rights you have to buy. There's like, oh, here's the rights to play the actual song. You can buy rights so you can have someone else sing the song and perform it. It's like they own.
So if I were to sing like an Adele song in the style of Jim Neighbors, we'd still get in trouble?
Yeah.
Dang it.
Depending.
Well, golly.
Oh my.
Oh my.
If you change at least 10% of the song, then you're good. Meaning the lyrics.
Shoot. So yeah, we're making some changes. You may have noticed that I've been trying to also shorten the show. That's why I said I trimmed out quite a bit. All of this is leading toward us in the near future actually getting a Patreon going, because we have a lot of people asking us to do that. So I will eventually be doing that. I plan to get that going at the beginning of the year. I got to get all the shit in the background set up first, and
yeah, let people spend their money on good shit, Dan.
Then we can get better mic stands, and
that's what a screwdriver's for.
Yeah, so Geoff here is in the studio. So we have, I think with what we have going on here, I think the show sounds really fucking good. But there are definitely some improvements that we could make that would make it sound better and make it easier for us to do things. One of which would be better mic stands. Geoff.
I think it's wonderful.
Poor Mr. Linville tried to adjust his mic stand and it just started
sagging.
Yes.
Like an 80-year-old man without his Viagra.
I don't think it's a big deal because I'm really used to that. So,
or is it your wife that's used to that?
Yeah.
Could get her in here to adjust it for you.
It doesn't do any good. Oh, wait, what are we talking about?
So tonight we have a bunch of different audio clips lined up. We've got some things to talk about. Do you guys want to start with some clips, or do you want to start with the blame game?
It's your dime.
I say we go right off the bat with the batshit craziness, and then we can move into
the one we were just
the one we were just watching, and then we can go do the blame game. We can have some fun with that. We can bring some little bit of laughter into it, hopefully.
All right.
And then we can bring some more crazy into it, and then we can tell some sad stories and start crying and depress everybody at home.
We'll have to inject some humor into the blame game because Tracy. So it came to me that we should talk about that because Tracy and I were having dinner. You know, we ordered from this company, and I'm not even going to tell you who the company is because I don't want it to sound like any of the other podcasts out there who are advertising for this particular company. But we have food delivered once per week that we prepare ourselves, and it's very tasty. But,
do you wear an apron when you cook this food?
Yes, but I'm not sure what color it is because I'm colorblind.
Okay.
And you enjoy red far more than you do blue.
Yes. Yeah. But so we made dinner, we're sitting down eating it, and we're just having our dinner conversation, and she's like, and we're both just kind of in a fog still about the election results and this whole thing that it's still, you carry on your regular life, and then there's moments when it hits you that, holy shit, Donald fucking Trump is going to be president of the United States.
Yeah.
And it's still like it hasn't fully sunk into my head as a regular course of business for me to think of Donald fucking Trump as president of the United States.
Yeah.
Just be happy to know that on January 21st, I think it's 21st is inauguration day.
Yeah, it's my birthday.
Oh yeah.
We talked about that last week.
That is a shitty ass present.
Thanks for remembering.
There are,
I know, right?
a lot of groups planning protests already in Washington, D.C.
My wife wants to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Million Woman March. There's There's one with African Americans that are planning a protest. I saw there's a whole bunch of different groups.
Yeah.
But so the whole idea for the blame game came to me while we're having dinner, and Tracy asked me a question. She's like, so if you had to name something, who do you blame most for Hillary losing the election or Donald Trump winning, however you want to look at it? And I went on like this 5 or 6 minute tirade, this just monologue of me rattling off all of these reasons and all of these different individual people, groups of people, media, and the reasons why I blame them and how much I blame them. And at the end of it, I was just like, holy shit. Fuck, I wish I would have recorded that. That was awesome. And she's like, it was really good. Yeah, you should have, wow, you should write that down.
So,
and then I got busy and didn't. And
so we're going to recreate it tonight, and it's going to be like Tenacious
a little bit.
D's
I'm sure it won't be as good because it was just like,
you know what? The WWF used to create SummerSlams at every single venue. This is just going to be your SummerSlam.
But we wanted to start off with the thing that we were just watching that was pretty fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hadn't seen this. Jeff sent this to me earlier today.
I have very small little snippet of who this is.
Oh, okay.
It's the National Policy Institute.
NPI.
The NPI. And it's an alt-right white nationalist think tank based in Arlington, Virginia. And it was founded by the co-director of the Anti-Defamation League. Center on Extremism. He's no longer around, but this is the new guy. This is the new guy that's in charge of NPI.
And this comes to us from the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And
Hail Trump!
Well, there we go.
Hail Trump! I had started that a bit early, but I was just going to say this comes to us from the Atlantic. The title of the story is Hail Trump, White Nationalists Salute President-Elect.
And I highly doubt before he said that, he said, what the? So he didn't say, what the hail, Trump? He said, hail, Trump.
And when they say salute, they're not talking about the typical American forces military salute. This is the right arm straight, fingers together, palms showing at like a 45-degree angle,
straight up
Heil Hitler kind of shit.
Yeah.
That's what all of these people in the audience are doing while this guy's talking.
Yeah.
So let's play the video.
Hail Trump! Hail our people! Hail victory!
There's the salutes.
November 19th.
Yeah, this was 2 days ago.
And there are guys running to the front giving Heil Hitlers.
No one will honor us for losing gracefully. No one mourns the great crimes committed against us.
Unless
for us,
you're liberals.
It is conquer or die. The mainstream media, or perhaps we should refer to them in the original German, Lügenpresse.
In the original German?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Maybe we should refer to him as the original German word, Das Wienerschleider.
I mean, he doesn't even have blonde hair. He's not even like the right kind of Nazi.
Scheisengruber. Yeah. That shit-eating grin.
It's not just that they are leftist and cucks. It's not just that many are genuinely stupid. Indeed, one wonders if these people are people at all.
Wow.
I feel so dirty.
Is he using that in a you people sort of sense?
That's how I gather
I think so. Is in the sense of you're not really people, so we don't have to listen to you, and you can fuck off. And if we want to put a bullet in your head, it doesn't matter because you're not real.
Yeah, you're not a person. You're not a human being. You're just
You're less than
some animal. Yeah.
Or instead, soulless Gollum, animated by some dark power to repeat whatever talking point John Oliver stated the night before. To be white is to be a striver, a crusader, an explorer, and a conqueror.
A crusader, an explorer, and a conqueror.
So
that you can subjugate those people that you have...
Yeah.
That you have conquered?
I take it they don't have
books?
Columbus Day discussions around his dinner table.
No, they probably hail Columbus for killing the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Because he was a conqueror.
Taming those savages.
Yeah. Those less thans.
We build, we produce, we go upward.
On the backs of blacks,
Chinese, Mexicans,
the lower class,
running our plantations, building our railroads,
socioeconomic differences,
mowing our lawns. That was bad.
And we recognize the central lie of American race relations. We don't exploit other groups. We don't gain anything
you
from
don't
their
exploit
presence.
other groups?
They need us and not gain.
What was that?
Oh, I was just saying, he said, we don't exploit other groups.
Maybe he doesn't know what the word exploit means.
He doesn't.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
anything from their presence. They need us and not the other way around.
Until this video comes out,
I have heard people defend slavery. Ben fucking Carson defended slavery that way in saying that slavery was good because it allowed people to be introduced to the notion of Jesus Christ and Christianity. That those righteous white slave owners introduced their black slaves to Christianity, so slavery was ultimately a good thing for them.
Yeah, they introduced it to him through whips and being chained to walls and stuck in the bowels of boats for ocean voyages.
I mean, eventually it'll be worth it.
Oh, yeah. When you're talking about, your eternal salvation.
This is just 80 years.
You'll be fine. Walk it off.
This room
Within
scares
the very
me.
blood in our veins, as children of the sun, lies the potential for greatness. That is the great struggle we are called to.
Pure race, huh?
Is this your Mein Kampf?
Yes. Yep.
My struggle? Is that what you're talking about?
We are not meant to live in shame and weakness and disgrace. We were not meant to beg for moral validation from some of the most despicable creatures to ever populate the planet.
Who do you think he's talking about there?
He's talking to it. Yeah, it sounds like he's talking in the mirror.
All non-whites.
They should have to beg for moral validation from lesser creatures.
Yep.
We were meant to overcome all of it, because that is natural and normal for us.
He's even got Hitler's emotions while he's up there. Have you ever watched any of the old speeches with Hitler when he was so animated and he's pounding on the podium? That's what this guy's doing.
Yeah.
Like he's bouncing and he's waving his arms.
He's got his Hitler Youth haircut going on, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He's probably got one of them knives in his belt.
The press has clearly decided to double down and wage war against the legitimacy of Trump and the continued existence of white America.
Yes, you poor, unfortunate white people
men,
who have things so hard here in the United States.
No one drove me here tonight.
I don't understand how you've been able to persevere and carry on so long, you poor, unfortunate things, you.
But they are really opening up the door for us. America was, until this past generation, a white country designed for ourselves and our posterity.
Designed by
Ever
us,
since we invaded it and killed all of the native people here. Put them on designated lands where they can live in squalor, and we can shoot them with fire hoses in freezing weather when they try to protest us running oil lines through their water reservoirs.
Shoot them in the head with rubber bullets and lob tear gas grenades right at their bodies.
Sure.
They should have taken over a wildlife refuge.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should have occupied a federal wildlife refuge for
instead of
a
their
couple
own
months.
land.
Apparently, there's no crime in that.
Threatened to kill people, then spent a couple months in jail and then been set free.
And while you're at that wildlife refuge, dig up an Indian burial ground and light fires inside the refuge to keep warm with.
Sure.
And shit
that's
everywhere.
All fine.
Yeah.
It is our creation. It is our inheritance. And it belongs to us.
Well, more salutes. Oh my gosh.
There's people in the audience standing up, giving this guy a standing ovation and giving him the Heil Hitler salute.
Yep.
Slowly but surely, they're all doing it.
It's the
That's fucking terrifying.
welcome to the leader of the Fourth Reich.
Good grief.
That's terrifying to see this happening. And Donald Trump has kicked open the fucking door for all of this kind of shit to happen all the time.
And he was friends with David Duke.
I don't know if he's friends with David Duke, but he certainly didn't disavow David Duke's endorsement.
No.
Right away.
And when he was forced to disavow it, he didn't leave a disavow. Like, do you disavow? Like, well, I don't have to. No. This guy said this. He's like, yeah, well, I don't agree with racism.
You know, he kept saying that he had never met him and he doesn't know him.
Yeah,
which is a fucking lie.
But on the other side of the coin, he said that meeting Barack Obama for the first time was during that transition after. So if he knew so much about Obama without ever meeting him, enough to call him out on things that were true and not true, mostly untrue, how is it that he can get the same pass or a different with David Duke? Considering we know they've met.
Because it fits with the narrative that I would like to believe, Jeff.
Yeah. No. Confirmation bias.
I have some deep-seated racism in me, but I don't want to face that reality. I don't want to confront it. I don't want to talk about it because Donald Trump is gonna MAGA.
Yeah. And Donald Trump has never had anything to do with Putin besides the multiple trips he's taken to Russia and the multiple businesses he has running in that country.
So given a local reference, we're just supposed to put it on the shelf.
Yes.
Got it.
Put it on a shelf. Don't think about it.
Just swallow it.
Yeah.
Then get shocked for swallowing.
I don't even know what to do with this kind of shit anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got him naming Steve Bannon as his chief strategist.
Yeah.
This stuff existed in my imagination of back rooms. It wasn't in the forefront of social media as far as an organized, concerted effort. And, you know, obviously there's people that have a problem, but I don't remember seeing this as blatant and open as it's ever been.
There's certain areas where they're open about it, and I've seen shows and specials on like these type of groups, but the issue isn't the fact that they've existed this whole time. It's now they have legitimacy in what they're doing, and they think they're able to speak up and be more vocal and be more public with it now. So that's why we're seeing more of them, because they got a leader in there that thinks it's fighting for them, fighting for the white right, fighting to get rid of all these less than immigrants out of this country. So now they just have the position to be more vocal about it because they think they have the power now.
Well, yeah, the guy who represents their views was just voted president of the United States.
Yeah.
And
even if Donald Trump actually doesn't represent those views, he's not saying anything fucking about it.
I mean, this is like, instead of man in the high tower, this is man in Trump Tower.
Yep.
Or is it man in high castle or white high castle?
I thought it was the high tower.
I can't remember exactly what it's called.
Go to White Castle? Is that what
But I mean, this is man in Trump Tower.
Right.
Yeah.
Just change the location. This is what the fuck is going on right now. And it's genuinely making me very, very uneasy.
It's terrifying.
I'm just worried about the renovations he's going to make to the White House, because
well, it's already white, so that's not a concern.
Well, no, but that's you've seen his house. It's not white.
It's all gold.
It's gold. It's so fucking gaudy in there. It's like, I'm like, he's going to come into the White House and be like, I need gold there. Need gold there. That needs more gold.
Somebody tell me why these toilets are not made of gold.
Yeah. What are all these dead white people doing on the walls? Get them down.
The president should not have to shit into porcelain, okay?
I can't work at this 100-year-old desk. Can't work at it. Like, that's Lincoln's desk. I can't work at it.
Isn't that the guy who freed the blacks? Terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Bad president. He got shot in the head.
Worst businessman ever.
Besides, I can't sniff coke off this. It's too old.
Yeah, there's grooves. Cocaine gets stuck in the grooves.
I need something with a much smoother surface.
It needs a mirror top on it, so that way I can look at myself all day long while I'm snorting coke.
The reason I think so many people like to go to Donald Trump gatherings is because it allows them the opportunity to finally go to a white power rally without all the guilt, you know? And you can say what you want about Donald Trump. Personally, I think he's clantastic. I really do. And
if you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGR Podcast. Thanks, bitches.
Donald Trump said that he loves the poorly educated because he appeals to the poorly educated. His words, not mine. Although they're mine also. They are mine as well. But
so I've heard a lot of people talk about moving, you know, that Donald Trump is now president. I'm going to move out of the country. I'm going to move to Canada. I'm going to move to Mexico, New Zealand, Netherlands, Iceland, somewhere else. I'm leaving the United States.
Reykjavik does look pretty fucking cool.
And we've joked about that on the show, right? I mean, like, we joked about having you guys having the Twitter war, or the comment section back and forth talking to Dan Morris of Two Skeptical Chaps, that, you know, you were going to stay at his flat or whatever. And we've mentioned these things jokingly.
And the things we would do for him, nothing sexual.
But I have been very dismayed to see and hear different people making comments about their clear intention that they have actually looked into this and are actually thinking of leaving the United States because Donald Trump is now president.
Yeah.
And that strikes me as really, 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 really fucking wrong. That is the wrong thing to do. You don't leave a country that is in desperate need of people like you in it. You stay and you fight. You leaving leaves all of the people who don't have that option. Yeah. How fucking entitled and privileged are you as a person to say, I didn't get my way, I'm going to take my ball and go home, and leave all of the people who can't afford to leave, who don't have that as an option, to struggle and be shit on and make their lives that much worse because I'm not there to fight for and defend them. I think leaving is a terrible, terrible option. You should stop talking about that. Instead, talk about how you're going to fight to defend those people who you now know are going to be marginalized. The people who you are afraid of being marginalized, and that's why you want to go. Why aren't you staying to stick up and fight for those people?
Yeah.
Which is why I hear it all the time in this state, the lovely, great state of Utah, that they say, well, if you don't like it, then just leave. I'm like, no, I'm not going to leave, because guess what? I want to see change so everybody is fucking happy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I hear that. I hear that about, exactly like you said. I hear that about Utah all the time. I fucking hate Utah because of all the Mormons. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that Utah's going to get any better if non-Mormons leave? Do you think it's going to become less Mormon if the people who aren't Mormon leave Utah?
Yeah, turn tail and run is not the answer to anything, any situation.
No.
Well, I mean, unless you're being bogged down by a bunch of wild animals, but no, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's a bunch of babies. Like you said, I'm taking my ball and going home. And the same thing happened 8 years ago on a bunch of people on the other side, you know, like everywhere from we're leaving the country and Texas is going to secede from the union and we're all going to live in Texas, and now it's California, Oregon, and Washington. You guys need to grow up, be human beings, and be Americans. Be Americans.
And how much do you think you leaving would be celebrated by those who would oppose you?
They would love it.
I mean, think back to 2008. When Barack Obama was voted into office and Ted Nugent was talking about leaving the country because Barack Obama was president, and how fucking happy were you at hearing that news?
Yeah.
You were delighted. You fucking posted it on Facebook. Yes, Ted, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
We would all love for that to happen. And now you're saying the same things.
Yep.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Stay and fight. Stay and stick up for the people that you know are going to be marginalized. You have that luxury. You have that option. Most people do not.
Now, I did post on a friend's Facebook wall because I had one friend that was like, oh, you dumb fucks, what, aren't you leaving yet? Aren't you going to Canada yet? And they actually put, during a class the other day, I came back to my seat and there was a Canadian quarter sitting at my seat.
That's amazing.
This is so you can call us when you get there and
Yeah.
let us know that you arrived
But
okay.
he posted that, and I said, "Oh yeah, I might move to Toronto." He's like, "Why the fuck are you gonna move to Toronto? You moving because you don't like the fact that fucking Trump won?" I'm like, "No, because Toronto has a very good movie industry, and if the opportunity arose for me to go work in cinema in Toronto, I would fucking jump at it."
And universal health care.
Yeah, and I got cousins that live there. I got family there.
Yeah.
But
and I want to meet the McKenzie brothers.
yeah, true. But if I'm going to leave this country or leave to go somewhere, it's not going to be because of the president. It's not going to be because of that. It's going to be because, hey, there's an opportunity there for me to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
for you to do something better, enrich your life.
yeah.
Yada yada. That's fine. That's different.
Get out of our country.
But if I'm working in Canada, I'd still keep my American citizenship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've become very dismayed at the number of people that I have seen where it's clear that they've actually looked into moving.
You know what is one really cool benefit?
Not just, kind of a hand waving, oh, I'm going to leave, I'm going to move, this is terrible,
Like
hyperbolic
legitimately
thing.
doing-
Like they've legitimately explored their options in moving to another country.
You know, Canada has one really cool law.
You have to pronounce the country right?
No, Canada.
Oh,
That's how we say it, Canada.
Legalized gay marriage, universal health care.
You can take a vacation out of the country for 60 days and you're not required to pay taxes.
What?
Yeah! That's why my cousins take trips down to the U.S. every year. I didn't know about this. I remember I was talking to one of my uncles about it, like, oh yeah, and someone was saying, yeah, in Canada, that's why they always come down, because they're able to file, like, 60 days in the U.S. They don't have to pay taxes in Canada for those 60 days.
Well, there you go. You know, and like I said, it's just a cyclical round of people throwing big fits, and which I don't particularly find a problem with. I mean, everybody needs to have their way of grieving or their way of whatever you want to call it. But this ridiculous crap of let's just move this and dump the problems off on someone else because I didn't get my way. I'm just fed up with it. Get over yourself.
Well, and like I said, what strikes me most about it is that they're doing this because, and it's all these white people that I hear saying these types of things, right? With the exception of one. I have one black friend on Facebook who has been considering moving for some time, and she's been talking about it more seriously now because of the election of Trump. And I can understand that.
Yeah.
Her being a person of color in the United States now has got to be a fucking terrifying thing, particularly when you see a lot of your other white friends who should be sticking around to defend you saying the same shit.
Yeah. Right.
You know who did leave?
Who?
George Lopez.
Okay.
The comedian.
Yeah.
Well, I know who he is. What do you mean he left?
Oh, he TMZ caught him at the airport and he's like, I'm fucking out.
Oh, well, that's probably just George Lopez.
No, he said he was leaving. He's like, fuck Trump. I said I was going to leave the United States and move out of the U.S. if Trump won. I'm now leaving the United States. My stuff's already been packed. I'm gone. He's getting on his flight and they're asking, well, where are you going? He's like, I'm not going to fucking tell you which country I'm going to.
That's ridiculous. Well, I guess there goes his Hollywood career.
I don't
know if he had one anymore.
A little bit. Didn't he have a sitcom that he started fairly recently?
Yeah,
did already crash and burn.
It was. I believe in that case, and I might be getting which sitcom of his that failed.
Well, he had
that
the
I'm
TV
speaking
show
of.
for that talk show or whatever.
He's saying that it was the oppression of Hispanics and Latinos that made it so his show went down the tubes. It had nothing to do with. It was just crappy entertainment. Had everything to do with his not being taken care of as a Latino. So.
Anyway, if you have seriously toyed with the idea of leaving, please don't.
Yeah, stick around. We need your help.
We will need you in the days and months and weeks and years to come.
Besides, we need you to vote.
Yeah. But I did propose once a reverse Russian bride thing, where hot women in Switzerland that are looking for a husband from America, that we just go over there and marry them as sex slaves.
Yeah, are you going to start a website?
Yeah. There's some really hot Swedish women.
Do you have? There's some really hot women. Period. I don't think you need to discount just anyone that's not Swedish.
No, Sweden has an abundance of women. They're like
and fish.
Yeah, but
doesn't Alaska also, or do I have that backward?
No, I'm talking about going to a place where Sarah Palin doesn't exist.
Is there more men in Alaska?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I'm talking about going to a place where Sarah Palin doesn't exist.
Oh, right. I guess that makes sense. All right.
And they got chocolate.
I like chocolate. Well, moving on.
Okay.
The next rant will start right after this.
And, you know, it's great to watch, entertaining, too, to watch the Republican Party and the right-wing media try to retroactively undo what they themselves have been creating for the last 35 years, you know, but it's too late. It's too late. That's America's id. It's out of the bottle. They're desperately trying to tamp it back in, like get that thing, but it's out there and it's fucking rampaging all over America. And you know, you can't spend every single day for 7.5 fucking years telling these people that your president is a communist Muslim from Kenya who hates America and wants to destroy it and not expect this to be the result. What the fuck? Of course people are pissed off. Yeah.
Rejoining the Godless Rebelution podcast now.
You want to do the blame game now?
Let's do the blame game.
Let's play the blame game.
Okay. So I have pre-composed a list.
We'd play game show music, but apparently we'd probably get flagged for it.
I may put that in post. You never know. You guys feel free to add to the list as you see fit, or you recognize somewhere where I have not adequately identified a singular person or a group that represents what you think is despicable about how this election has turned out. So far, how many have I got here? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 11 people or groups on this list so far.
That's probably plenty because we'll probably talk for a while on this.
Yeah. So on the list, and this is in no particular order. This is just kind of as I thought of them or whatever. I have Trump voters, Hillary Clinton, third-party voters, James Comey, non-voters, Jill Stein, Gary Johnson, Bernie Sanders, Alex Jones, the Christian right, and that was kind of a thing. Like, do I just throw Alex Jones into the Christian right? Is he his whole separate entity?
I think Alex Jones is a whole nother animal.
He's got aliens in space technology and stuff.
Yeah, well, I almost feel guilty about giving him that much recognition, right? Like, I wonder if we should just lump him in with the Christian right, because then we would end up with a nice even number of 10.
But he's a batshit crazy of his own.
Yeah. And then lastly, I have the lamestream media, because the roles are now reversed and we have to talk like people who were conservatives and lost when Barack Obama took office. But what do you guys think? If you had to point the finger at one of these groups, which one do you blame most for Trump being elected president of the United goddamned States of America?
I know you're going to disagree with me on this, on saying maybe one doesn't really matter much.
Maybe one doesn't matter much? One of them on the list here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Which one?
Third-party voters. And I know you're going to go off on me with me probably. But I think the reason why third-party voters don't matter as much is they still had very small margins. And if the non-voters, or the people who traditionally voted, would have came out and voted, those numbers wouldn't have mattered at all.
So I do disagree with you, and I'll tell you why after I make a plug for Atheistically Speaking and what the fuck is their other show? God damn it, I feel terrible that I can't think of the name right now.
There's actually a really good air of the community coming together and saying, okay, settle down, calm down, quit screaming and yelling. We all need to come together and figure this out as a group. We didn't support each other. We need to come together. We were at each other's necks to the things that weren't very important, and now it's time to rise up as a group. And in fact, David Smalley was one who was saying that's that's our fault. That's my fault, of the people that are in the mainstream atheist arena. Some of the voices need to stand up a little bit more and be less divisive of our own kind. And so, okay, was that enough stalling?
Yes, it was. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Atheistically Speaking with Thomas from Thomas in the Bible, his other show, and Opening Arguments with he and Andrew Torres. Both of those are two of my new favorite shows. I've been listening for the last few months, and I honestly feel guilty saying that because I have not yet contributed to their Patreon, but I will be doing so this week. They're really fucking good shows, and they talked about third-party stuff, and, of course, Scathing Atheist, and I am so happy that the Skeptocrat is back up and running. The latest episode of Skeptocrat that I listened to with Noah, Heath, and Eli. And Eli talked a lot about third-party voters, and the point that he made about third-party voters is that you can say, okay, you can't blame them because they didn't take a whole lot. They didn't even get the 5% or whatever, but they knew enough to not vote for Donald fucking Trump.
Yeah.
And you can say that the people who voted for Gary Johnson may or may not have voted for Hillary Clinton, but these are people who traditionally libertarians are just kind of a split off of the Republican Party, right? And even they knew that Donald Trump wasn't the person that they wanted to vote for. So you can't honestly say that all of the libertarian vote would have gone to Donald Trump anyway, or the vast majority of it, because they knew that they weren't going to vote for him as a fucking dangerous individual.
But in the same way, we can't say that Jill Stein votes could have gone to Clinton.
Well, between her and Donald Trump?
Well, I think this is where we get into the never Trump and the never Hillary sentiment.
Sure. You can do that, and that's perfectly valid.
I think if they didn't have a third-party candidate to choose from, they wouldn't have fucking voted anyways.
But beyond their vote is the rhetoric that they used for everything leading up to the vote.
Yeah, it's wrong.
For repeating all of the false fucking Republican narratives that they had heard for the last 30 years, and not just repeating them, but embracing them with reckless abandon, fucking throwing them out every chance that they got. That Hillary's crooked, that she has these email servers that were illegal, that she's done all
payments from countries.
She may have killed people with Whitewater and
child sex ring from the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, all of this ridiculous fucking nonsense that has been disproven over and over and over again, and they bought into these Republican lines, hook, line, and sinker, and fed them out to everybody else. And they did it with such vitriol that it definitely was a drag on other people who may have voted for Hillary Clinton or people who had no idea. And then they see their ill-informed dipshit friend who's going to be voting for a third party saying that you can't vote for crooked Hillary or Killary or any of the other stupid goddamn names that they used for her. And I think that definitely suppressed a lot of votes. So it's not just that they cast their vote for a third party, it's the damage that they did all throughout the election season.
Up to that point.
And negating and diminishing Hillary Clinton's campaign.
I think with you saying that leads me to say my number one person who I think we can blame is the media. Because they had to get these ideas from somewhere. You don't have Fox News or CNN ever coming on the air and going, hey, this stuff that's being said is completely wrong. This is bad news. This has not happened. This did not happen. This did not happen. They never get on there and fact check anyone. They just keep spewing the same lines. And it goes both ways. I mean, CNN would take anything of Trump's that seemed bad, even if it wasn't totally true, and run with it. And Fox News will take anything from Hillary that's not even true and run with it.
And create a documentary about it.
Yeah. And then not only does CNN
Dinesh D'Souza
run against Trump the whole time, they play every time that he has a rally or anything, they show it.
The whole thing. Yeah.
I saw several times where they say, Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton speaking today in this city, and they'll show the beginning of it, and they'll drop it down to a small little box in the corner. You can see it. You can't hear what they're saying.
Right.
They're just letting you know, look, they're doing this. While later on that night, they'll show a full hour of Trump speaking.
Yeah, I saw a clip. I can't remember where I saw it, but they were talking with one of the mucky mucks at CNN, and he said something along the lines of, well, if I had to do it over again, maybe we wouldn't have aired all of Donald Trump's speeches in their entirety. Maybe we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, but you think, I don't know, once again, confirmation bias on my part, you would think that showing the entire Trump rally
would have been worse, right?
Terrible.
Yeah.
But it mostly was.
But if that's the only thing
you're
hear,
seeing,
if that's the only thing they hear, there's no filter on it. There's nobody calling him out on his bullshit, on all of the wrong things or incorrect things that he's saying. When you only have the one voice speaking at you, it's like we said with Bush when he was in office, that if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes reality.
Yeah. And even then, you can have Hillary supporters watching this and be like, yep, I agree with him there. Hillary is a pretty bad person for doing that. So not only do you have Fox News all the time repeating lies about Hillary, you have CNN playing entire hours of Trump spewing nothing but lies.
Yeah, you know, and we'll bring up a term I really like to use, especially when it comes to Trump, is the Gish Gallop. He was so good at doing that. And it would, by the time he would spew all these things over and over and over again, his very last thing he said was usually the most damning or the most press-worthy. So he would say, you know, her emails or this, that, the other. And then, you know, she killed guys in Benghazi. And it would be, everyone would hear these 5 or 6 things leading up to the one last thing where everybody could focus their attention on. It's like the people that are always screaming about abortion. Yeah. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it.
No.
I'm sorry. It's been through the court system. It's the same as everything. Blah, 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 Benghazi.
Yeah, this has been settled since, what was that, 72?
So in the back of your head, you're thinking to yourself, oh, there's 5, 6, 7 things that keep getting repeated that they're not really talking about. But, oh, man, Benghazi's just terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and the emails are terrible. I mean, this is horrible. But you've still got in the back of your head, crooked Hillary, lying Ted, you know, all of these cute little quippy mantras that he has for everybody. And it's like a little seed that just gets in there and grows, and you don't have to fact check it because they've never called it out as big old grandiose, you know, like grabbing the pussy. That was huge.
Oh, yeah.
It was massively huge. In the grand scheme of things, it's a horrible, horrible thing, but it wasn't policy. We still weren't hearing policy.
No.
You know,
but we're
really
hearing a trend of the way he acts.
It really pissed me off. Like deep inside that someone would actually say that out loud. Let me rephrase that. Not that someone would say that out loud, but when they were caught on it, they didn't say, I'm sorry. I was inappropriate. You're right. It was terrible. I was in the moment. You know, even the locker room talk, even though I think that's a ridiculous excuse, you can say, you know what, I got caught up in the moment. I said something dirty. It's like saying a dirty joke. I apologize. I realize the error of my ways. But he doubled down on all of these terrible things he was saying. That's what bothered me the most about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I got the year wrong on Roe versus Wade. I was off by a year as 1973. But I mean, this has been settled law since 1973.
Mm-hmm. And people still
It's been 43 fucking years, man.
And people keep repeating incorrect rhetoric about how an abortion is performed, when they're allowed to have them, what kind of people actually get abortions, or the kind of people that are like, no, I really wanted to have my child, but it has a severe birth defect and I'm going to die if I give birth.
Yeah.
So I have no choice.
Pays for abortions.
Yeah.
And
it's all bullshit.
And Obama's putting women in, Obama's working with Planned Parenthood to abort as many babies as possible.
But that's where you get into people that are misunderstanding what's an abortion and what's birth control.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have people talking about the IUD and the day after pill and even just regular birth control pills as abortifacients.
Yeah.
That's not what fucking happens.
No. It takes up to 72 hours for a fertilized egg to implant in the uterine wall.
And these are the same people who don't fucking know that nearly half of all pregnancies end in spontaneous abortion.
Yeah.
Most of the time with the woman having absolutely no idea that she was pregnant.
Yep.
That their God is the biggest abortionist in the history of the universe.
Or there's several cases where there's a problem in the pregnancy where it's developing in the wrong area and it's going to kill the mother.
To my sister,
an ectopic or fallopian.
It was a fallopian, it's a fallopian pregnancy. Or
and they have to go in and have that aborted, or else that's going to fucking kill them. They're going to bleed out internally.
No, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, mom's
maybe
dead.
It was all part of God's plan,
which is bullshit.
because he put that little baby in mommy's tummy, and he put it in a spot where he knew that they would both die because the baby actually just needed mommy up in heaven.
Well, guess what? My God praises me for killing infants.
Oh man. Okay, now on a different note, can I do my blame real quick? I'll make it fast.
What?
My blame? Who I blame?
Yes, who do you blame?
I blame the non-voters and the ill-informed voters, which are kind of one and the same. The only difference is one of them was forced to act on their ignorance and instead of just stay home.
I blame the lazy, complacent, ignorant, ill-informed people who just don't give a fuck about politics. They think it has no effect on their lives. And that it doesn't matter, everything's going to be fine, or they just don't fucking care. They don't, they have no idea about what's going on.
And for those people that have put these policies and these people back into place, that is really going to affect us. I mean, it's terrible to have the president. Yes, it is. And now it's even more terrible that he's got control over all of government right now. They're the majority. That is a bigger problem. I blame the way people voted and the non-voters for not going out there and actually having their voice heard. You know those people that say, "Oh, I don't vote because my voice isn't heard." You're damn right it's not heard.
Because you
stayed home. And guess what? The crazy neighbor that you're having big old fights with because you keep get off my lawn. You know that crazy guy with the Trump sign? You decided, I'm not going to vote. He did his job and he proved himself right. He didn't prove the what they think is right, but in his head, you sitting over there, smoking the weed and with your face in your phone, he has been validated more times, not only in the presidency, but in the House and in the Senate. He has been validated, and it's your fault for staying home, and it's your fault for saying it doesn't matter anyway, and that's your fault.
I blame. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was to say, if you want to talk about ill-informed voters, I had a guy that I worked with that cast his ballot, and he's like, "Oh, I just sent my mail-in ballot in." I was like, "Oh, who'd you vote for governor on?" He's like, I think his name was Gary or Herbert, something like that. I'm like, you should have voted for Mike Weinholz. He's like, why? I'm like, because Herbert's the guy that's been in office for a while, and he's a dipshit. He's like, what? Herbert's our governor right now? Oh, if I would have known that, I wouldn't have voted for him. Like, you don't know where our fucking governor is?
You did absolutely zero amount of research before you filled it out and sent it in?
He probably filled out a grandma request and it got denied, so.
But I think you're absolutely right, Jeff, in that the people who did not vote, I blame more than the people who voted third party or anything else. Particularly, and I'm discounting the people who didn't vote because they have no idea. They've never voted. They're completely disinterested, distracted, whatever.
But
I don't blame them nearly as much as I blame the people who do have some inkling of politics, and for whatever reason, whether it was that they felt completely apathetic, they thought it was the choice of, the lesser of two evils, they saw their friends who were going to vote third party talk shit about both people and figured it wasn't worth it. They saw on the news that Hillary was going to run away with it, and so they decided they didn't need to go. Whatever your decision in knowing how to vote, to be registered to vote and not showing up at the fucking polls, I blame you. Yeah. I blame you for not having your voice heard. I blame you for deciding that it wasn't important enough for you to get out to the polls to stop Donald Trump from becoming president because you had better things to do or something else you wanted to do, or you just didn't think it was that big a fucking deal to get out there and help protect people who needed you in this time to get off of your fucking ass and get to the polls, and you decided, I'll go get a hamburger.
Yeah.
I'm not going to participate. Fuck you.
And think about this. Trump won with less votes than Romney lost by the last election.
And he got fewer votes than Romney did.
He did. He got fewer votes than Romney did. And we had, 25% of the people? No, 25% of registered voters voted this year. Last year it was something like 62% of registered voters voted 4 years ago.
Yeah. So Jeff got to the end of what I wanted to say is that the people who were registered to vote, who know something about politics and didn't get off their fucking asses and get to the polls to protect the people that needed them, I blame you.
Yeah.
You're a fucker.
Yep. And on top of that, I witnessed, and my wife, I witnessed this a lot through her eyes. She's been a Democrat in Utah for her whole life. I haven't. I'm a more recent Democrat in Utah. We saw.
Yay! Welcome.
Thanks.
One
it's been a while.
One of us.
We witnessed in the state of Christian value Utah.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people showing up for Bernie rally.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tens
I was a huge
thousands
Bernie
of
supporter,
people.
yeah.
I was a huge Bernie supporter. And, 20 years ago, I probably would have kicked my own. Well,
he had so many people show up to his rally, he had to do a second rally.
Yes. And my wife and I, we drove around all 3 rallies filming, those rallies.
Yeah.
And a lot of people showed up to all of them. The problem was that passion died when Hillary Clinton came around, which is unfortunate. These always Bernie guys and, my vote doesn't count, back again, the same thing. There was enough passion for you to know at least a little bit about politics to get excited to come out and see Bernie Sanders. Now, I don't agree that you needed to come out and not vote for or vote against someone was the only good vote. Casting a vote for Hillary Clinton was not a bad decision.
No,
it's none of this lesser of two evils bullshit that everybody is always spewing.
It's the
She
better
was the better of the two.
Yeah, it's the
better of the two candidates.
It bothers me when I hear people say the lesser of two evils or your choice between a douche and a turd sandwich. No, you're picking the better of the two candidates. who actually have a chance to win.
Yeah.
If you want to piss it away on a fucking third party, at least you got out and voted. I can't blame you as much as the people who didn't even drag their ass to the fucking polls.
And I'm going to say, I am a big enough person to say, I have been out there screaming and, not screaming and yelling, been doing my best to campaign against Trump. I haven't done the best campaigning for Hillary, but what I can say is, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I doubt I am.
I said that
but
too.
I hope I'm wrong.
But seeing the picks he's making.
Correct.
I think we might be right.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you there that I also shoulder some of the blame here. Me as a person who actually voted for Hillary Clinton, I feel like I didn't do enough.
I agree.
I didn't go door-to-door canvassing. I didn't do phone banking. I didn't send money to her campaign. I voted for her, and I posted some things against Donald Trump and a few things for her, but I feel like I could have done more. I think all of us could have done more.
Absolutely.
So we all shoulder part of the blame.
Yep.
Well, I will say we probably have more listeners on the podcast than we probably could have called.
Yeah. But I feel like I do share part of the blame, but I'm so much better than people who didn't vote.
No,
seriously, fuck you guys.
The Dan Ellis class system ranked by voter influence.
Yes, absolutely.
That's where sometimes you got to ask the question, why didn't the people who traditionally vote? And I still wonder if that comes down to what was being said in the media. Hey, maybe it had an influence with Facebook. Maybe it's social media had influence.
And that's why I listed. News. I mean, I think every person or group that I listed on that initial list shares some burden of the responsibility or some bit of the responsibility for Hillary Clinton not being elected or for Donald Trump winning. But it was a multifaceted thing. I mean, you can't point to one thing in particular and say this right here is the reason, which I see, the news is always like, whoa, how did this happen and who can we blame and what can we say needs to change in the future? And it is all of these things.
Yes.
All of the things on the list need to change.
Now, it can help fix this in a way. It's not going to get more people to vote, but it might help. It'll eliminate the third party. Did you see the law?
Why do you want to eliminate the third party?
Well, it's not going to eliminate it entirely. They'll still be there. But
will they be just as relevant as they are now?
Yes. Well, it depends. So did you see what Maine passed? They had it on their ballot. It wasn't a reaction to this election. It was something they had on this ballot during the election. A ranked voting system.
Oh, your preferential balloting?
Oh, yeah. There's a video that I posted a couple months ago talking about the different systems of voting.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing this is the thing where they have all of the candidates listed and they count all of the votes for them and then they say these votes would have gone to this person.
Well, it's you pick you do your top 3.
Right. Oh,
So you do
yeah.
1,
You vote
2,
for more,
and 3.
You vote for more than one.
So
right.
if your number 1 vote, so if nobody gets 50% of the vote, they take the top 2 people that had the top 2 most amount of votes. If you didn't vote for one of those 2 people and your person is out, they take your number 2 vote. So for whoever your number 2 vote it was, if it's for one of those top 2 people, it goes to them, and they recount it and see if they get someone over 50%.
I don't know if they still do it this way, but I was at, okay, now, I'm in a safe space right now.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I know. I'm fine.
I got my brass knuckles.
I was at the Republican convention, state convention when
say what?
I know, and I was there as a delegate when John Huntsman Jr. became governor.
And you weren't working as a collaborator even.
I was not. Preferential balloting got Gary Herbert as the lieutenant governor. Because they were such a tight race back and forth with the voting, it kept bouncing up and bouncing down. And they decided during the convention, okay, fine, we'll combine our votes and we'll both go. And then after that, it was gone. Fred Lampropoulos was out of it. I mean, Dale Shaughnessy was out of it. I mean, everyone was out of it. But with that preferential balloting, it ended up having John Huntsman Jr. and Gary Herbert, which in turn, John Huntsman Jr. kind of had a lot of prospects in his life, so he knew he wasn't going to be around long. So that kind of railroaded the whole system into having really everyone's second favorite as the governor.
I just thought as you're talking about the Republican Party and different candidates, somebody who I didn't leave or somebody who I didn't put on the list that I feel I should have, or not even an individual person, but a group of people who should have been included on the list.
Oh, are you going to say it?
Are the Republicans who see what a horrible fucking person Donald Trump is and still chose party over country.
Yes.
I'm talking about the Ted Cruzes, the John McCains of the world,
Ryan.
the Paul Ryans, the people who prior to the election happening were not really endorsing Donald Trump very much, or had been shitting all over him and then flipped and said that they would, Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Or had Donald Trump shit all over them, John McCain, and still decided to endorse him because they chose party over country.
You know why they chose party over country?
Because they're assholes?
Supreme fucking Court was their only concern.
That could very well be part of it.
I guarantee,
and that is one of the
huge consequences. A huge fucking part of why they
we
voted
will be
Republican.
Living with
and that's why the INC, or the INC, the RNC is also partially largely to blame, is because of the blocks of the Supreme Court nomination.
Yeah, and that is one of the consequences that we will have to live with now for at least one, if not two, or possibly three generations going forward, is that we are now going to be faced with a conservative Supreme Court.
White nationalism Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they go, we can't have a liberal Supreme Court. We need to keep the balance. We need to keep it conservative. Like, you've had a conservative Supreme Court this whole fucking time. How's it gone for you?
And on top of that, and I promise I'm not going to go off on this because I could spend an hour on this one alone. The Electoral College.
Oh yeah, I could have put that on the list as well.
Right now, my wife texted me earlier, 1.7 million votes ahead of Trump.
Yes,
is what Hillary is right now. Yeah. The last count.
I think I predicted sometime very shortly after that it would be between 1.5 and 2 million that she would get.
And my problem, the way we do our voting and our balloting period, it's a ridiculous on a Tuesday. Come on, why can't we have a weekend?
You know why it's on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Why?
Because that was originally set on Tuesday because they didn't want to do it on a Friday and they couldn't do it on Monday because it took 2 days to travel to your polling station.
Okay, and
Sunday was a religious day.
That's
right. That's right.
Yeah. So they chose Monday because everybody would be, their religious services were on Sunday. They could take Monday as a travel day to travel to their polling station and they would poll on Tuesday.
And I've gotten into some discussions online, obviously, like we all have, about the Electoral College, and I see that it had its merit. It's so far gone now, and I'm trying my hardest to say, okay, how can we make this system work? And in my opinion, the only way we can make this system work is to scrap it. And then you were saying the popular vote. Well, the larger sections of population will get a higher rate.
It doesn't matter.
I said, well, that's good because that's the central location of community and the and of progression.
And where America is.
We're moving into these centers because we as a culture are growing as a culture in these population centers. We're not growing in the middle of the fields. We're not doing that. That is the past. In fact, most of those places or these rural areas are usually subsidized by some sort of, farm worker thing. And obviously I'm painting a very large brush, but, the progression isn't long lasting in those areas. The rate of growth of humanity and the rate of growth of sense of community and rate of growth of kindness to other human beings isn't fostered in a rural area. So they're in the population centers. And yes, of course you aren't going to get major candidates coming to visit Utah.
No,
but you won't until something like popular vote comes out and we can vote for it. Because this particular election, how would the popular vote have gone with McMillan, Trump and Clinton? I mean, if it really would have looked out that way, and then we split up, even if they want to do something like electoral votes split by, because is it Maine that does that? They split.
I think there are a couple different states that split their electoral college votes.
Which that's fine, but that's just the popular vote by any other name.
Yeah.
But apply that popular vote. 2 more people come out to the polls for Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump. Guess what? She gets the presidency. Same for the other side. I'm really bitter about this because it was the popular vote. Same thing happened in 2000. In 2000, I was on the other side of the coin. I thought, well, be quiet. We run the electoral college. But it really always upset me that no, we didn't win.
No,
we were given it. And it's always bothered me.
And that's one of the things that I actually disagree. Excuse me, that I actually disagreed with Andrew Torres on the
podcast.
The podcast that I mentioned earlier, that the name escapes me again. Anyway, he defended the Electoral College, and to me, it's like, okay, we don't use an Electoral College for any other voting position at all. So if you make the argument that the smaller population areas wouldn't be represented as well if we went to a strictly popular vote, then why don't we do that for every other election? Why don't we do it for the governor of any state? Certainly there are within a state, such as California, New York, even Utah, you have densely populated central locations like Salt Lake City and the Wasatch Front here. And then you have places like Emery County and Kane County and all of these other small, tiny desert or farming communities where the population isn't very dense at all, and yet we still have a popular vote for governor. Well, we have a popular vote for mayors, for city council, for everything else except the president.
You want to know why?
So I mean that argument just doesn't stand.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I had to do some reading and research into it to disprove people's bullshit reasons on why we even have the Electoral College, because I kept hearing people say, well, it's so that a third party candidate can't win. It's so that it's an even pick throughout the U.S. It's so that this person, so you can't get it known. It's like, no. The reason why we have the Electoral College is originally someone came up with the Virginia plan. The Virginia plan made it so that your senators in your Congress were the only people who got to choose a president and no one got to vote.
Yeah.
People are like, no, that's not right. We need to let people vote on the president. We think we should have a popularity vote, and that person wins. And they couldn't get it to work together.
So I believe it started out 30,000 people population gets one electoral vote, but it never got updated.
No, well, the other problem was the reason why I know, like, James Madison was a big proponent of popular vote, but he was also worried about popular vote because slave owners got extra votes.
Yeah.
Well, and this was back when black people couldn't vote.
No, they couldn't vote.
But there was only 3/5 of a vote. They didn't even constitute a full vote.
No,
themselves.
They didn't. But a wealthy landowner, his vote would go way further than someone else's vote. So it's like, no, let's not let that happen, because then the South, who has most of the population of slaves, we get to pick the president all the time. And we don't want the South getting to pick who the president is all the time because they have more slave population.
And then you throw the War of 1812 right in there at the same time with James Madison, and you know what?
Well, but that's where they worked on a compromise.
Right.
They said, okay, we don't want the South to always pick the president because they own so many more slaves, and that the slave count for the slave owner, it counts higher. So let's take and combine our two ideas.
Black people were fucking up the vote even way back then.
Oh man, not showing up for the polls.
So they combine the two ideas that, okay, we'll take your votes. This district will have, each state will get as many electoral votes as they have in Congress.
Yep, so
and plus their 2 senators.
They have the 2 senators. Yeah.
And their congressmen. And that's how many votes will come from that state. So whoever that state votes for gets this. Because at that time, most of the population was in the north. As far as like larger cities, the bigger districts were all in the north. The larger, more rural areas were in the south with all slaves, so they would get less votes, less electoral votes. The bigger cities in the north got more electoral votes because they had the bigger districts.
So basically, get rid of electoral college, give us a little bit longer to vote, and let mail-in voting and even internet voting.
And make it easier to vote. Yeah.
Easier.
Why can't we vote over the internet?
I think that's a problem.
Why?
Well, if you look at, like, we build like a website and it gets launched for one thing, it fucking has issues.
Well, yeah, they'll obviously have to be beta testing, but I mean,
but even when we beta test something, even people that build video games for a fucking living, they beta test the shit out of it. They launch that game, it fucking crashes.
And that, I mean, I have my financial institutions hooked up to, social media, and there's verifications in place that I trust. I mean, I would trust everyone with my 401k, but not my president.
The system. I mean, even when the Affordable Care Act kicked off, even though that the company that built that website had a whole bunch of issues, that crashed, and that was something that the government put in place.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think we can expect to just roll it out. Be working on it for a year or two and roll it out and have it be the new standard.
Yeah.
It's gonna you'll have to piece it in.
But then the other issue we had was like here in Utah, where this was the first year we had mail-in voting. A lot of people didn't want to do a mail-in vote.
This wasn't the first year we've had mail-in voting.
It's the first time I've ever been able to do it.
Oh,
Utah County still didn't have it. They didn't trust it.
Yeah, this was the first time.
Oh, so it was Salt Lake. I've lived in Salt Lake County for a while.
Yeah, this is the first time this is the first time my county's ever had mail-in voting.
Yeah.
So they limited all the polling stations. They cut polling stations back, but people still wanted to go in to vote. So that's why this year when I went and I just dropped my ballot off, I showed up and I'm like, holy shit, the parking lot's full. There's a whole lot of people here.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is good. There's a lot of people showing up. When a lot of people show up, Democrats win.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't a lot of people showing up. There was fewer places for them to go to.
Right.
Yeah.
So
they're all it's more densely packed.
It appeared like more people were showing up to vote because when I showed up 4 years ago to vote, I walked right in and voted and walked right out.
Yeah. It was pretty.
And I went at the same time as I did last year because I figured I can get in.
We were in and out about a half an hour in Lehigh.
Yeah, we need to have more than 1 to 3 days to vote.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be open for, I think 2 weeks is probably a good amount of time.
And I'm willing to wait.
Yeah.
That long.
Yeah, well, and I've seen people say, well, we should be able to vote for months ahead and whatever. I'm like, I think that's kind of stretching it. I mean, what if one of the candidates fucking dies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Between the time that you voted and the time that the actual election polls close. You can't have it be too long a period of time, but it should be more than a few days I think, a couple weeks is a good amount of time, and to have more polling locations available and to make registration so much easier.
Right.
The motor voter idea that anytime you go in and you get a driver's license, you're automatically registered.
Right.
And then, when you say that, we can do that now because it's not like before, because the president the people don't cast the inaugural votes until December 17th?
Right around there. 14th, 17th, yeah, it's right around there.
Because people used to have to travel from their state and get everybody together to cast electoral votes.
Mm-hmm.
What an old, dilapidated system.
It doesn't take us that long to travel to cast our votes in Washington, D.C. anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the Pony Express does run through here. Do they just pick it up on the way through?
I work near the Pony Express.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, out there.
Yeah. But so you could do 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
easily.
still be able to have your electoral ballots cast on December 17th.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time,
we're talking about Election Day was November 8th, and they're still counting ballots 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
So clearly, if we were to open it for a longer period of time ahead of the November
Yeah.
8th date or whatever date it happens to fall on that year, as that people would be able to vote, and they could start counting those ballots earlier. They could get the results done sooner.
And I think those results should be put into a system that's kept completely secret, though.
Okay.
Well, as far as like if you like from day
that they're
one,
not announcing,
so there's not a
yeah.
running tally on who's winning.
Yeah.
I think that shouldn't be.
I mean, there'll always be a exit polling.
Exit poll, but you're going to get those polling numbers anyways.
Right.
But I don't think as far as going, oh yeah, so far we've got 1,000 votes in this area and 10,000.
And is
I don't know. Maybe that would be good. Maybe that would motivate more people to get off their asses and go to the polls. My person is behind. I need to get my ass off the fucking couch and out to the polls to vote for.
Maybe we'd get 100% voter turnout.
Now, isn't there something along the lines in England or maybe I don't know, somewhere where up to a certain point they're not allowed to talk about policy or anything, and there's like a cutoff date of ads or.
Well, they don't even get to do ads.
Things? Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, I know in England that their election season is, well, in most other industrialized nations, their voting season is much, much shorter. I think a few of them, it is strictly government funded. That the candidates get money from the government strictly. They don't get donations, nothing. They're limited in the types and number of ads that they can place.
Well, in Canada, they're not even allowed to play ads. The only time that the candidate gets airtime
is during a debate.
During a debate or on the news with the other candidate. Canada had its longest ever election season this past year.
And it came in at what, 2 weeks?
I think it was 6 weeks.
Jeez.
6 weeks was their longest time of their longest election season in history. It's like 6 weeks.
I had Facebook arguments longer than 6 weeks.
We had to wait more than 6 weeks between debates.
Good grief.
I've had hemorrhoids stick around for longer than that period.
We had debates going on this time last year.
Yeah.
So to quote the great Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I blame Canada.
Fucking Canucks.
Blame Canada.
All these terrorist groups, it's all done in the name of Islam.
ISIS is Islamic.
Islam is a peaceful and tolerant religion.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, we can do that. But still, if you didn't vote, fuck you. Fuck you.
Fuck you right in your tiny brown star hole.
You and your dangling Chad.
By brown tiny star hole, I mean that starfish you got in your countertop right now. Not the one in the aquarium.
So touching on so as a gradual move from the election and Trump into talking about more religious and atheist stuff.
Oh yeah.
Should we transition with a Michael Flynn?
Oh, you mean that general guy?
Uh-huh.
Oh man.
Yeah, retired and disgraced.
Yeah, Marine General.
Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who has been named National Security Advisor for incoming President-elect Donald fucking Trump, who says that Islam is a cancer and a political ideology that hides behind religion.
Oh.
I think we can all agree, the three of us are no big fans of Islam.
No.
The Islamic faith. We don't think Muslim people in general are terrible people.
Nope.
Just the jihadi type.
But we also don't think that Islam is a cancer.
No.
Or strictly a political ideology that hides behind religion.
Or maybe I can append that and say, no more so than.
I've got a Muslim friend on my Facebook that I went to high school with. She's an awesome person.
Yeah.
She's still Muslim, but
she's delusional.
Well, she doesn't. Well, she's also a Democrat.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, she's a big, huge Bernie Sanders supporter.
I have a friend that brought a burqa home from a trip. Does that count?
I don't think so.
Oh damn.
But her, for her, it's her family, and
that's just a cultural appropriation, Jeff.
There you go. I get in trouble for that one.
Well, let's listen to what Mr. Flynn has to say.
Yeah, Flynn.
Islam is a political ideology. It is a political ideology. It definitely hides behind this notion of it being a religion. And I have a very, very tough time because I don't see a lot of people screaming Jesus Christ with hatchets or machetes or.
These days,
he's never seen an American soldier actually. Then he says he has.
So it's just hiding behind a religion. Those calls to prayer, however many times a day, are just, it's all just part of this big facade for this political ideology to hide behind religion.
It's no different than a soldier surviving something and saying, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus."
They don't have their own book of holy text. They don't have their different sects of this religion. They don't have their own individual houses of worship and temples and ceremonies and holidays. No, that's all just a big fucking facade for a political ideology.
It's
how much of an asshole is this fucking guy?
It's called the long game.
Yeah, it's just a really, really long con that billions of people are in on.
It's a Jack in the Box religion, and once that monkey quits rolling around the tree, we know what's coming out.
Plus, when a long game goes for a few thousand years, a lot more people get involved.
Yeah, there was no Prophet Muhammad who rode a winged horse to heaven. None of that fucking happened, or nobody should actually believe that. Remember, guys, this is all just a fairy tale because we have politics behind all of this.
But guess what? Jesus Christ actually did resurrect.
Yeah, I'm sure Flynn would shit his pants if he heard somebody say that about Christianity.
Yeah.
That it's not a real religion, it's just a political ideology hiding behind a religious
It is nowadays, almost.
Or rifles shooting up clubs or hatcheting,
or Planned Parenthood.
axing.
Oh wait, that's him.
Exactly. Or a Planned Parenthood, or a government installation in Oklahoma.
A black church in the South.
That never happens with Christians.
Families on a train. Or like they just killed a couple of police officers with a machete. I mean, it's unbelievable. So we have a problem. It's like cancer. I've gone through cancer in my own life.
Is he drawing a parallel, or did he actually have some cancer?
I think he is a cancer.
He had a wart.
I've gone through cancer in my life.
Maybe he's not a cancer, he's just a carbuncle.
Or he's talking about his two previous wives.
Okay, so it's like cancer. And it's like a malignant cancer, though, in this case. It has metastasized. So like I just said, in the number of attacks...
He has a word of the day calendar.
In just the last 45 days. I mean, when I look back over the last, 10 years or 15 years of my life, and the things that I've seen and the things that I've witnessed against this very vicious threat.
So, yeah, Michael Flynn, that's now somebody sitting in a high-profile, powerful position within Donald Trump's cabinet.
Who is on board with taking and having a database set up for all Muslims that come into this country to be registered to.
Well, and he fits right in with Donald Trump's stated goals of wiping out ISIS and of killing terrorist families and creating a Muslim registry.
And on top of that, those of you that think, I doubt they're listeners, but those of you that think registering Muslims is a good thing, but not registering your firearm is a good thing, needs to have a serious look in the mirror.
Yeah.
There's a difference between registering someone because they're a human being and they have choices and registering a violent weapon. Now, I can hear it in your heads already right now. Muslims and Islam is a violent weapon. No, you seem to be confusing yourself with everyone else.
Yeah.
So, yes, if you think it's okay to register someone by their preference of religion or even their country of origin and not your tool that's been designed to kill, you have an issue.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I think I said it on here.
That's a great point, man. I'm going to talk about that going forward on Facebook. Watch out, people.
You're coming.
You can have it, Dan.
I think I said it on here before where, you got the three options for fighting ISIS. And right now, Trump wants to take the mass destruction and go in total war with them. And that's just going to make ISIS grow.
Uh-huh.
That's putting gasoline on the fire.
Cancer will grow.
It will grow. The
cancer will get bigger. Metastasize that way. Way to go, fucker.
Oh, man.
Because we're not fighting an army, we're fighting an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And if we feed into what they need of us destroying and killing civilians and registering their people that come to this country and doing all that kind of stuff.
Because that's what they think we do anyway. That's why they're opposed to us and upset with us, right?
And we're giving it to them. We're going to give them everything they need for their recruiting power to be, look what the West is doing to us.
Yeah.
We need to fight against this.
Yep.
Agreed.
Please stand by. The Godless Revolution will continue in a moment.
If you knew nothing about science and you read, say, the Bible, the Old Testament, which in Genesis is an account of nature. That's what that is. And I said to you, give me your description of the natural world based only on this. You would say the world was created in 6 days and that stars are just little points of light, much lesser than the sun. And in fact, they can fall out of the sky, right? Because that's what happens during Revelation. One of the signs that the second coming is that the stars will fall out of the sky and land on Earth. To even write that means you don't know what those things are. Everybody who tried to make proclamations about the physical universe based on Bible passages got the wrong answer. So what happened was, when science discovers things and you want to stay religious, or you want to continue to believe that the Bible is unerring, what you would do is, you would say, well, let me go back to the Bible and reinterpret it. Then you'd say things like, oh, they didn't really mean that literally, they meant that figuratively.
You and the Godless Rebelution will be reassimilated in 3, 2, 1.
So, Matt Staver, you all may recognize him as the attorney for Kim Davis. That's Matt with 1 T.
Fucking.
Like the thing you leave in front of your door to wipe your feet on.
I would call him a douche, but a douche has a purpose.
He says that the state of Georgia is turning into a satanic Nazi Germany.
What the fuck?
It's true. It's true. I have the audio. You want to hear it?
I have to hear it to believe it.
Okay.
And now we're subpoenaing pastors. We're firing pastors for preaching from the Bible on Sunday.
Where is this happening? What the fuck is he talking
well,
about?
If that Bible slipped his dick into a little boy's butthole, of course he's fired.
They just say this shit. They don't ever give you examples of it. They don't ever point to a specific case and say, this is what we're talking about. It's these wild fucking accusations and allegations that they have no fucking backing for.
Yeah.
They just make it up whole cloth and figure that nobody's going to fact check them on it.
It's as if the state is coming in and rounding up all the priests and putting them in jail for no other reason but because they're priests.
Hey, are you religious? We're going to put you in jail. Oh, you're not a Muslim. Never mind. It's fine.
Positive passages through platitudes. That's pretty much where he's going here.
They can't have public employment. I mean, you go back, and I don't want to compare this to Nazi Germany, but I can tell you that in Nazi Germany, what did they do to the Jews?
I'm not going to compare this to Nazi Germany, but let me compare this to Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
They eliminated them from the academic institutions. You couldn't teach. If you were employed in the public, you had to leave the public employment.
Okay. Is he trying to get at the fact that they're not allowed to teach fucking biblical literature in school as the fucking truth?
He's equating not being able to teach creationism in public schools with not being able to teach anything as a Jew.
Because you're a Jew. Yep.
Is he fucking stupid? Of course your pastor can't come and teach science class.
Well, he can't even pass spelling. He quit spelling his name halfway through.
I know.
I don't. Do you think it's stupidity? Is it ignorance? Is it bigotry? Is it a combination of all of them? I mean, he's an attorney, so he's gone to school. He has learned some shit, right?
Yeah, but I think at this point we got to label people that are this frivolously religious as a fucking mental problem.
Every time I'm here, I try to bring up Nickelback, and I'll do it right now. It's like Nickelback.
If you could just look at this photograph.
No, so it's the same thing. Even if you're a pile of steamy shit, like you choose which one you'd like.
Matt Staver.
I'll choose Nickelback in this one.
Okay,
but and you have followers. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are. It's what everyone else is bringing you. And unfortunately, especially as a lawyer or someone who has the law on their side as a profession, it's horrible that they take advantage of the stupidity and the kindness of other people. Yeah. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Then they started putting stars on their businesses in their homes, stars of David. But they wanted to eliminate them because they were Jewish, not because of anything they did, but because of who they were. They wanted to eliminate them from the public employment. Here in Georgia, in the Bible Belt, we have eliminated, the people in Georgia, these bureaucrats, have eliminated one of the top fire chiefs in the country, and then Dr. Eric Walsh, a person who was fired from the Georgia Department of Public Health, not for any outrageous, unbelievable, astonishing thing they did, but because of their views on marriage and homosexuality.
He's also conflating Jew as a religion and Jew as a culture.
Right.
And he's saying that you know, like a lot of people, like even atheists say that they're culturally Jewish, and that's their heritage.
Yeah.
And
David Silverman would disagree with them, but
right,
regardless,
right, and he would know, and but he's mixing those up. You know,
yeah, he is. He's conflating the two, and he doesn't seem to understand that there is a fundamental fucking difference between saying that somebody, because of their religion or their ethnic background, cannot participate, versus you as a Christian can still participate, but you can't teach fucking nonsense to our children.
Yeah.
You can still be a goddamn teacher. You just can't teach fucking nonsense in our schools.
Yeah. And if you
We're
want
not
to,
saying that as a Christian you can't work here. God damn it.
So I had to look up the fire chief thing there real quick, because there was one fire chief I had heard that was fired because there was some words going on around the fire station where there was a gay firefighter in this department, and they got caught saying
religious persecution.
Well, no,
they're not allowed to.
No. They caught the guys on the crew and people saying, if we get into a fire with that faggot, we're going to let him burn. We're going to make sure he doesn't come out alive.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
This wasn't
their
him.
religious right. Oh, okay.
So he says he got fired for publishing a book that was a biblical study book that was called "Who Told You That You Were Naked?" I don't know why he named that. I figured that would be some sort of porn. But inside the book, it says Cochran.
Sounds like a Dr. Seuss book on song.
Totally does, huh?
Cochran, who was the fire chief, called homosexuality and lesbianism a sexual perversion as a more equivalent to pedastry and bestiality.
Pederasty.
Pederasty. Yeah, there we go. And bestiality. But according to the city council, it says no, he was fired because of his judgment and management skills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, but because he published that book, he's saying he got fired because of his book, and the city's saying, no, you got fired because
you're an asshole.
You can't manage the fucking fire department.
You're a terrible fucking manager.
Yeah.
And perhaps it was because some of his Christian biblical views had colored how his management style and how he was treating people, which is a perfectly valid reason to get rid of somebody. If you're treating people like lesser human beings because your biblical views of them tell you that a person who is gay is less worthy to be whatever than somebody else, then yeah, you absolutely should not be in fucking management.
Yeah.
You should be in the presidency.
Oh, damn it. I'm laughing at something so sad.
And I think, we are living at a time where the church is coming under a greater stress from these secularist and frankly, in some cases satanic forces.
That's fine.
And now is the time for the church to rise up and literally believe and act as Jesus said to the disciples at Caesarea Philippi.
You mean turn the other cheek, or which lesson are we going to go with here?
Are we gonna append his messages now?
I think it's to stone them until they stop moving. One.
That was like rule number 1 in Jesus' book, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they could take a page from his book and just hang somewhere till they die.
Oh, true. Yeah.
That the gates of hell, the fury of hell, will not prevail against his church.
How about the gates of reason?
Those gates are permanently
those have been closed to them for so long. They're rusted shut at this point.
You got one of them information phones. We can't look up information on our phones.
I think we have time for one more.
We have 20 minutes left.
Do we?
We're at just shy of 2 hours on the clock.
Oh, that seems way more than that.
Well, let's get it on there.
We did start kind of late tonight because we got all pissed off at watching some of these things before we started.
Right. Yeah, we were previewing some of the fuckery.
That Hail Trump bullshit.
Hey,
Yeah.
while you find something else, can I divulge into something or go kind of veer out? Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
word I'm trying to say.
Something else.
Can I go somewhere else?
Yeah. No, stay here.
No,
we need you.
My mother took us to go see the new Harry Potter movie last night.
How was it?
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Oh, yeah?
My wife and I sat there like, what in the hell is going on? Now, I'm a massive cosplayer, and I love fantasy. I love having fun. I love all that stuff. But what the hell was that movie? It looked like an animatic being prepared to pitch a new ride at Universal Studios. And if Pokemon movie was to come out, it would look exactly like that. It was a lot of money to spend on something that made no damn sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, my family loves Harry Potter, so my mother and my sister and and they loved it. Confirmation bias is its finest. It was terrible.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna get people hating me for this, but it was horrible.
Well, so Tracy wanted to go see that, and I looked at the movies that were available. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. Yay!
Congratulations!
And so we went to dinner, and then we were going to go to a movie. And when I looked up the movie listings, I had already wanted to see Arrival.
Oh
yeah.
But one of the places that I always go and look to see what movies are worth my time and money and effort is Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think on Rotten Tomatoes, Arrival had a 93 or 6% rating. In the high 90s.
Yeah.
Low to high 90s. And the Fabulous Creatures, whatever movie, was like 73 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I've wanted to see Arrival anyway, and it's got better ratings. Let's go see that. And we went and saw it, and it was a fantastic fucking movie. But it really wasn't at all what I was expecting.
No, neither was. I sat there with my jaw open because it reminded me of Contact. It reminded me of.
I haven't seen it yet.
I won't.
We won't give any spoilers.
But you sit there and it's got some really deep philosophical questions of, if I could make my choices over again, would I make them the same?
Oh yeah,
and you're like, oh, it's so deep. And what a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, I got choked up. Tracy
I did too.
cried.
I did too.
I left and I was like, I need to call my children.
I know. Totally. And you're going, it's like, oh, I see where they're going with this, and man, I hope it works out. And the movie ends and you go, oh my God, I want to go see it again.
Shit, yeah.
I want to see it right now.
It was really, really good. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Yeah.
Look, Jeff, you can see him.
I don't got to work tomorrow. We can probably go find an 11 o'clock or 10:30 showing.
Yeah, it was a really good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Amazing. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll do very well in the box office.
Yeah.
But phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
I need to read the book now.
I really, really enjoyed it a whole lot. And so did Tracy, even though it was, you need to go see it. It was really, really good.
Yep.
I liked it a lot.
A lot.
Maybe I need to go see it now that I ain't sick no more.
Oh, go see it.
Yeah, Ryan's getting over a sickness. You still sound a little nasally.
I don't think well, you should have heard me the other day.
Yeah.
Like when I was at work. Like literally a guy at work
You still sound a little congested. Not nasally, just a little congested.
A guy at work asked me, he goes, What did we do yesterday? And I'm like,
I don't know.
We were sick.
I know we did stuff. Well, we had done a bunch of stuff that day. I'm like, and the funny thing, like we had done a whole shitload of stuff that day. Like we had a general come through. We had to go do all this thing with this Olympic fucking archer guy.
Oh, but
we had done a whole shitload of stuff. But I'm like, I can't remember what I did 10 minutes ago.
But you know what? It's because of the aliens. You work at a government installation.
I do work at Area 52.
There are, I'm sure, chemtrails right over where you are. You're a guinea pig at
My
this
favorite
point right
online
now,
discussion.
Ryan.
You know what? That reminds me.
That's why you're bald.
Fuck!
It falls on your head.
It was those B-52s we saw a few months ago. Which is crazy.
I wish everyone could see the look on his face right now. He is seriously contemplating those B-52s overhead.
Well,
oh my God, that might have been it.
I had never seen B-52s flying before.
You should start spreading that around the firehouse.
Then a few months ago, we're sitting outside doing some work, testing out some equipment.
Like, isn't it weird how we all get sick at the same time?
And yeah,
we should drop crop circles on your head.
There were these 3 B-52 bombers doing really tight circles over us with huge chemtrails just shooting out of their ass end.
Is this chair real leather? I'm about to soil.
I mean, for real. When was the last time we used a B-52 to bomb anyone? Why the fuck were there B-52s flying over us?
It's chemtrails, bro.
Fuck.
You heard it here first, people.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to go to Nellis Air Force Base where they have these fucking B-52s stationed at. And I'm going to get to the fucking bottom of this. Who's in? I'm going to get some black fucking hoods.
Hey, we're going to go to Vegas maybe next month.
We are.
So.
Yeah. We'll get some ninja suits.
I want to see you just go up to the B-52 and go,
chemtrail?
Hey, guys. Someone let me in.
Hey,
I got something to ask you.
I just want to see where your sprayers are at.
Sweet.
You should start fucking with the guys at the firehouse by saying stuff like this, man.
One of the guys I work with is in this conspiracy theory, so he might be like, fuck, man, yeah, you're right. Those B-52s were flying over us with those big contrails.
And we all did get sick, man.
Tell him it's
but
part
this guy's
of
always getting sick.
It's not that we're, trapped in the same fucking place for days at a time.
Yeah, for 3 to 4 days at a time. I mean, I was at work for 4. Like, I started when
some of you gross fuckers don't know how to wash your goddamn hands.
Yeah.
We have to have an in-service meeting with grown men.
Because last Monday when we did the podcast, I was starting to get a sore throat. Like, my throat was hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the next day I woke up and I went into work and I was like, it's fucking, really getting sore. And I started coughing a little bit. Dude, that next day when Wednesday came around, I was like, I'm dead.
Well, and you guys don't really get much in the way of sick time. You have to be on your deathbed, in the hospital sick, right?
No, actually, I can call in sick whenever I want.
Oh, yeah?
But I was already at work, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm already here. Dude, that drive home.
Might as well contaminate everybody else.
I call shotgun.
Well, we were all sick. We all got there and we were all sick. We're all fucking sick already.
Yeah.
But then, when I drove home Saturday, I'm surprised I didn't crash on the way home. It was I had to take every ounce of concentration to drive.
You're freaking your mom out right now if she's hearing this episode.
Probably. She only listens to the first 10 minutes. Once I say 5 fucks, she's gone.
She counts them. Okay, that's one fuck gone.
One, yeah.
Well, there's another fuck.
If we cuss too much, she turns it off.
They're talking about Donald Trump. This is going to be a short episode for me.
Ryan.
But literally, driving home Saturday, it felt like I had a vice grip on my head. I couldn't barely open my eyes. My eyes were hurt.
I hate that.
I went home and I laid down for a second and then I went straight to Smith's and got myself some, the high strength, high dose anti-decongestion stuff.
Yeah.
With
some Mucinex D.
No, the behind the counter, you gotta give them your driver's license. I can't remember what it's called right now.
With the
name brand shit.
Yeah, I can't think of the name. Well, it's the ingredient in it.
The ingredient that's
used for meth.
Oh, it's meth stuff.
It's meth stuff. It's the ingredient. That's the name of the stuff.
Yeah.
It's been too long since I've watched.
Well, I got
Bad.
some of that stuff and some ibuprofen.
Yeah.
And I didn't move from my couch until about 7:00 Saturday.
Yeah, sinus infections are no fun, man.
No.
Yeah.
It hits everything.
Glad you're feeling better.
My joints hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Then my head hurt. My throat hurt. And I coughed a lot, and I couldn't sleep, and I coughed more, and I couldn't sleep, so I napped, and I couldn't nap because I kept coughing. And then I couldn't eat, so I was fucking
Yeah.
malnourished.
And
then all of a sudden I got hungry, and I was like, I want to eat everything.
And I'd like to say, given our social proximity, I'm glad you're feeling better as well.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes. Yes. I am also very happy that you are feeling well.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrebelution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGI Podcast. Thanks, bitches.
I say we do this.
This one?
Yeah. We have to.
Well, but
do we have to?
It's more Trump.
Okay, we don't have to, but after we can listen to it afterwards because I really want to see what he says.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. So you guys will have to Just try to find it
If
later.
we had a Patreon, we could do it on a Patreon, and then you guys could hear us rant about it.
I'd really love to pay for this quality shit, Dan.
We'll
How
do
can
an
we do
extended
this?
thing at some time in the future. So I still have that when we had Michael Rupp on the show.
Yeah.
And then we ended the show and you asked him a question. And then there was like 20 minutes to a half an hour of us all laughing our asses off at the question you had asked him.
That was some
that
funny
I think
shit.
I'll have to eventually release sometime as like a special, just a little drop episode of this is the shit Ryan says when we're not on air, really.
Well, it's something I didn't mean to be offensive at all, but it's just on my mind. It's like, my mind works weird ways sometimes. This might sound offensive. I don't want this to come out as offensive. But I've heard people say this before, but I don't want it to be offensive.
Oh my god, it's still one of the funniest,
It was
one of the
greatest
funniest
thing.
things. Oh god, I loved it.
I sat up there going, did he actually just say that? He really just asked that question.
Well, he was a cool guy. I'm
He
like,
totally
he
was.
understands me. He knows I'm not,
totally
I'm not being completely serious when I do this shit.
He knows.
I'm fucking insane.
He's heard me talk for the last 2 hours.
He knows I have a gay sister, but I'm going to restate it before I ask this question.
So you get to look forward to that in the future on some sort of Patreon show. And now we're all crying.
Oh god, that was so fucking funny, man. Seriously, I've listened to it a couple times since then just because it's fucking, it gives me the giggles big time.
We're going to have to replay this beginning of that because I got to hear what I said again because I know it was completely offensive.
And when you finally publish it, you need to stretch out the silence. Just with
crickets?
Like after he asked the question,
there
was this
pause it.
There was this uncomfortable silence where we're all just kind of looking at each other like, did he really ask him that?
And you can dub this and you go,
Well, didn't I think with the awkward silence, I had to restate my question to make it sound better.
can I go home now, guys?
I had a reason for asking it. There was something in the news I had a reason for asking
sure
it.
about it.
No, there's something that happens. There's something that someone in the news said something. I remember what it is now. I remember. It's in my head now. I remember what it was.
What did you ask?
No, not what I asked. Why I asked it.
Oh, you remember it was in the news?
Because, someone in the news had said there's some story in the news. Some dipshit Republican said that they're shipping lesbians to be farmers so that they can swing the Republican vote. And I thought it was funny. So I think I brought it up as a joke. But it was only a joke to me. And the reason why it correlated to my sister is because my sister's a lesbian in the country on a farm. And this Republican thought they were shipping lesbians to work on farms to swing Republican votes. And that's why it was funny. And now doesn't everybody listening to this wish they could hear what actually happened? You will have to wait.
Oh God.
On to the news.
I gotta pee.
Well, now we're down to 10 minutes left.
There's so many red spikes on the screen.
I think it's from me laughing in the mic too close.
I was leaning way back. I couldn't even help it.
All right.
Well, I skipped my core exercises tonight.
Oh,
let's continue.
I'm actually crying.
Me too.
Are we? So we have. Oh, I have 3 queued up. We can do. I have 2 Brian Fishers or a Kurt Schilling.
We've got what's Kurt Schilling's one on?
So, Kurt Schilling, it's a combo. It's Kurt Schilling and Milo Yiannopoulos. And I stated a while ago that Milo Yiannopoulos was kicked off Twitter, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really all he deserves. But,
wussified ebonics of the left?
Yeah, Kurt Schilling and Milo Yiannopoulos gripe about wussified ebonics of the left, or Brian Fisher says that Clinton's popular vote was probably due to millions of illegal votes.
That's a good one.
Or Brian Fisher saying people who work for the federal government should be denied the right to vote.
Oh,
I know which one I would pick.
I'm almost going with that last one because I work for the federal government.
Let's do the last
Dan
one.
works for the federal government, and I want to know why I shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Okay, that's the one I would have picked. So
federal government works for me.
That's the one we'll do.
I still got a tear in my eye.
I'm gonna make T-shirts that said "I'm a lesbian, got shipped to a farm." Farm fresh lesbians.
And we just lost all of our lesbian listeners. I apologize. This did not go the way we thought it would. I didn't say it. Some dipshit did, and it came out insensitive.
Free range, non-GMO,
all natural. Trump's voters.
There's going to be some heavy editing in this one.
Okay.
And 3, 2, 1.
Okay, we'll go to Brian. Okay, now we're going to turn our time over to Brian Fisher and see what he has to say about some shit. God damn it.
I don't have the story in front of me, but there's a story I've got in the stack about where government employee donations went. And I don't know what
where did they
go?
It's a giant mystery.
Tide goes in, tide goes out.
They're buried at the farm.
You can't explain that.
What the percentage was is probably 90% of federal employees donated. If they donated to a campaign, it was to Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Oh, so we should just deny them the right to do any of that. Okay. Well, geez, could it be that they're looking after their own personal interests after Donald Trump says that he's going to cut all of these departments?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Should we just start denying the vote and the right to vote to anybody who is going to act in their own best interest by voting for the candidate who is going to best represent them?
Yeah.
Or go, why don't I donate a whole bunch of money to Donald Trump? He's going to take my job away.
Yeah, sounds like a great fucking plan to me.
Worked for the Jews.
I'm not going to have any money going forward. I might as well piss it all away right now.
So why are they donating to Hillary Clinton? It's
just
just
told
job
you.
security. They're going to vote for the candidate that promises bigger and bigger government because that's where their jobs
Not bigger and bigger, just maintaining the shit that we're doing.
are. They're not going to vote for. They're not going to support Donald Trump. He wants to reduce the size of the federal government.
Which is why we didn't donate to his campaign.
Because we don't want to lose our fucking jobs.
Well, and you actually start wondering.
You actually start wondering.
He's never wondered.
You actually start wondering.
Actually?
It's in China.
People who work for the government, I'm serious about this. I think we ought to seriously think about whether people who work for the federal government should be allowed to vote.
Yes, they should.
It's like those black people who overwhelmingly contributed to Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Yeah.
I think that we should stop those black people from being able to vote.
You know what?
Man, I got sounding a little bit like Jerry Seinfeld there.
If you've ever received welfare...
What's with these black people?
This is some crazy stuff.
If you receive welfare, if you're a minority, if you're a federal employee... You cannot vote. You had me crying.
Sorry.
It opened the sinuses up. Now it's releasing fluids in my throat.
Sorry.
Simply for conflict of interest reasons. What conflict of interest do they have? They are going to vote their wallet every time. They're going to vote for the candidate who promises to increase the size of government. Now, to me, that's a fair trade-off.
All the coal miners should not be allowed to vote then either, because Donald Trump said he was going to increase their workload. He's going to put them back to work.
I'll bet they
So they're
contributed
betting
money
in
to
their
his
best
campaign.
interest. Yeah.
So they shouldn't be allowed to vote either.
Nope.
This guy's an asshole and a moron. What the fuck?
You want to work for the federal government. You want to get that paycheck. You want to get the job security. It's almost impossible to fire a federal employee. You want all that. That's fine. You'll have to trade that for the opportunity to vote. Take your pick. Because we can't have people voting on their own paychecks.
It's not our own special. It's in our own best interest. You stupid fucking asshole.
Yeah. What do you think?
To not get fired.
If Hillary Clinton had come out and said, "I'm going to get rid of Christian right-wing radio hosts, would you contribute to her campaign, you fucking dipshit?
Yeah.
No, you'd fucking pay Donald Trump. I'm sure you did anyway, but you would definitely not give money to Hillary Clinton's campaign then.
In that case, no military person should be allowed to vote then either. Because if we have a president that wants to cut military, they're not going to vote for him.
Or if we have a president who's like, hey, as soon as I get in office, I'm going to go to fucking war. And the military members say, oh, I'm going to donate to the other candidate's position.
Because we don't want to go to war.
Are you going to deny those military members their voice, their right to vote? Because they're not voting the way that you want them to, you fucking asshole?
I think any religious organization should not be allowed to vote because they don't pay fucking taxes.
Yeah. Why do they have a voice in anything? They don't do anything to support this country financially. Why are they allowed to vote?
There we go. In order to vote, you have to have paid taxes.
Ah.
There you go.
Donald Trump would be out.
He didn't have to vote for himself.
I mean, that just is not going to work. There's too much conflict of interest.
I have a headache now.
I do too.
I'm getting something ready for you guys.
We keep saying the same shit together all the time.
It's
Jinx
the contrails.
It is the fucking contrails.
Didn't get rid of my hair.
No,
they're not contrails, they're chemtrails.
Chemtrails, that's what I meant.
No, you know what the chemtrails did?
What?
They not only made me lose my hair, they made me cognitively fucking part of Jeff.
They made me fat.
That's a bad place to be.
I know, but we keep saying the same shit at the same time. And I'm not even hearing it come from your brain. So my brain must be talking to your brain without my brain telling me it's talking to your brain. And I'm just saying what you're going to say at the same time you say it.
Dude, you're seriously tripping me out right now.
Is this the Inception?
I was thinking the same thing. What the fuck?
Oh, you guys are going to love it.
No, in all seriousness, I'm just fucking around there. There's no such thing as chemtrails. I'm not reading through Jeff's brain with my brain.
Oh, I totally thought that was true.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure because people think I say true stuff sometimes.
I was going to go start a whole new cult, but I guess I won't now.
He does speak the truth, though.
Well, no. If we're going to start a cult, let's do it. They make good money.
It's the whole killing off of people that I have a problem with, really. It might make me lose sleep, at least until I decide to off myself.
We just need a quick cult. I just need a good chunk of gambling money to become a millionaire.
Can it just be like a sex cult? That'd be fine, right? Where everybody just has a good time.
You're making fun of my mic problem again, aren't you?
We do.
But yeah, I'm all for a sex cult.
Do some hallucinogenic drugs and just party. Is that cool?
I'm down.
All right, let's start it tomorrow, man.
I'll bring the chips.
Okay.
Although sometimes hallucinogenic drugs and sex parties don't go well together.
Oh my God. Okay.
So I've heard.
Well, thank you all very much for tuning in. If you've made it this far, congratulations.
I apologize for that last 20 minutes of the show. I do not know what happened. It got derailed. I apologize from the bottom of my heart.
It was my fault. I brought it up. I probably should have waited until we were done recording.
Now, if you laughed along with us, I do not apologize. Thank you for laughing along with us.
Oh, God. So, until next week, we will bid you adieu. Thank you very much for joining us again, Jeff.
Yeah.
You're
always
very
a pleasure
welcome.
to have you
anytime, anywhere. Anytime. We're not going anywhere else.
Next week, joining us in studio, we will have
Chris. Chris is going to be here.
Yes.
X from Utah Outcast Show will be here in studio with us.
He's such a wonderful, beautiful man.
He is. I dig that man very much. So until next week, be nice to each other and fight the power, yo.
Yeah. Fuck Trump.
I was talking about the episode where Meg was here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought we were talking about the one where
period missed.
His dildo head.
I say so much fucked up shit. I forget what fucked up shit I say.
They're using the semen to make that latte even more flavorful.
Oh my God. I might be sick still.
What is something about in the butt? What was the clip about?
Oh yeah, the Satan in the butt or something.
In the butthole.
In the butt.
Burning in the butthole.
Is it burning in the something like that?
Feel the burning in the butthole.
In the butthole.
Because you did that whole little rap song.
Oh, that's right.
Oh my hell.
Shit, I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Farm fresh lesbian straight to your door.